going on, YouTube? Welcome to another edition of Yugi Noobs, your greatest source for all things Yu-Gi-Oh! I'm Jinzo here along with
Frog the Jam.
And today on this episode we're going to be discussing the ever so changing way of Yu-Gi-Oh! Card pricing. MAXX right now, if you get the one that came out in the promo tins version that came out just a couple years ago, is right now about $12. Do you think it's still worth that price at $12?
Honestly, say it probably is. The price hasn't changed too much because I had one a couple months ago and it was still like $10 around the same price. So it hasn't price hasn't changed too much, and it's a highly played card at big tournaments and stuff like that. So I'd say it's a good price for it.
I feel as though MAXX is still a pretty, good card. Of course, it is like most cards situational, but I feel like its value at $12 is pretty.
And it's not too expensive for being a promo either.
Right. It's not. And the fact that it did come out a couple years ago. There is a secret rare version that's ridiculously expensive, but for that version for the promo of MAXX, which you'll see on your screen, it is a pretty good price. Alright, so the next card we're going to be talking about, this is an interesting card, and this is just recent. Wind Up Kitten. Now, I have a Raccoon deck that I just built, and let me tell you that Wind Up Kitten is an amazing staple in that deck. I run 2 in the deck. I think it's well worth it, maybe even to put 3. Right now, the Ultimate Rare version is at $15, and the Ultra Rare version is at $12. About a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, this card was like $2 or $3. Do you feel as though that's where that card should be at?
I think it's a good price for it because I think the Raccoons are a really good deck, and even without the Raccoons, I think Kitten's kind of an underrated card because it just gets off any monster very easily. I know New Spacing Grand Mall had a little bit of popularity there just because you could bounce any monster, and Kitten can do that without having to enter your battle phase.
Right, so essentially it's like having a second Compulse.
Yeah. With
the simple cost of busting a summon.
And then with Raccoons getting more popular, it just makes that card really good.
Yeah, I can see, honestly, Raccoons, especially when, Obedience School is played right. I can honestly see Raccoons being a possible, Tier 3, Tier 2 threat to tournaments. I believe it could get up that high. Alright, the next card on our list is EVILSWARM EXCITON. Right now, this card is at $85. Are you behind the hype?
Absolutely not. I mean, we were kind of already talking about how it's a little overrated, and I think the price is really just kind of ridiculous. It's a really good card, and it's secret rare, so it's probably not extremely easy to get a hold of, and so many people want it, but there's just other things you can use. It's not an absolute staple for a deck. You don't really need it. It is a really good card, but I think that price is just a little bit too high for its actual play value.
Yeah, to me, for EXCITON, it's for it to be that high, and whenever it was first released, it was double this price. It was disgusting. But I think that for a card to be this price and to have the drawbacks that it does with its effect, and the limitations, and it's really kind of scenario based, I don't think it's worth the price. Alright, so I would say I would give it around $25, $30 tops for that card is what I would pay
just
for.
Because it's a secret rare, and
right.
It is a good card. I think I would probably go more towards 40, but about half price of what it is.
Yeah. Alright, the next card is Silent Honor Arc. This card is right now priced at about $60. I think, in my opinion, that this card, I think it is really good. And like I said in previous videos, this card is probably the best set in Legacy of the Valiant. But $60 is kind of much for me. I would see this around the $40 range, honestly. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't know. $60 is kind of a fair price. I mean, maybe it's a little bit too much. I think it should at least be worth more than Excited Night, because it's a better card in my opinion. Just because it's not secret rare doesn't mean it should be worth more.
I would agree. Next card, Imperial Tomb of NECROVALLEY. Now this is the card that is supposed to make Gravekeepers be the dominant force that they're supposed to be. Right now this card is ticking in at about $30. I honestly, because of the damaging effect of the card, of the trap card, I think it's worth that price. Yes, you have to have NECROVALLEY and Gravekeeper on the field, but how hard is that to do in a Gravekeeper's deck? And the fact that it's a counter trap that can negate anything is absolutely ridiculous. With no cost. You just have to have a Gravekeeper and NECROVALLEY on the field. I think $30 is worth it.
I don't know. I don't think it's really worth that much money, just because it's only for one deck, and just again, like, a secret rare doesn't mean that it has to be an expensive card. I think that's one thing that people really don't understand. Like, I know people think Gravekeeper decks are going to be really good now, but I don't think it's worth that much money.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see how it kind of plays out with them not doing as well as expected. I kind of want to get rid of mine too as soon as possible. So the next card we're going to talk about is Bujin Yamato. Bujin Yamato right now is the staple monster for that deck. They have tons of monster options for Bujins, but that is the main card of the deck. Right now it's priced at about $45. Honestly, I think for that deck, how much support they brought out for that deck and what's the support they have coming in Primal Origins, I think that honestly that's a fair price for Bujin Yamato. I think it's a really great card and it's amazing in that deck, and it's honestly, I think, what's keeping the deck alive.
I think it's maybe a little bit overpriced. I know you're not agreeing with a lot of things I'm saying, but again, it's one card for one deck, and I guess it's not extremely easy to come by, but
I haven't seen too many. I seriously haven't.
Bujins are a really good deck, and with a lot of new support to come out, they could be up in the top tier deck, but I still don't think Yamato is that worthy of that price.
Well, I think with Primal Origins coming out, we'll kind of see how it fluctuates. I do think that with the new support that they are getting, I think it's just enough to put them over.
Some people are just like so full of anticipation for cards, they just get so excited, and that's what makes cards.
Why is Excited Night still the price it is? I'm not excited about that shit. Anyway, next card is Coach Soldier WOLFBARK. Now, this card is in the top tier deck that's topping everywhere right now, which is Fire Fist. It is the staple of the deck. Every deck that has topped has ran 3. It's just works so perfect and beautifully for Fire Fist decks. Just with how much search power they have, and just the fact that it's a +1 to go right into an Exes. For it to be $57, I would like to see it up more, honestly, because it is topping. It's basically the same thing as certain E-Dragon cards when they were topping. You cannot touch it, and it's consistently what is topping at every...
It's one card for one deck. It is a deck that is topping, and I can understand why it's that much money, but the play value of this card really isn't that much.
In any other deck. In any
other deck, but still, like... For example, since I'm a frog player, Swamp Frog's like the king card of my frog deck. That's a common.
Swamp Frog should probably be more. It should also probably be
it's
more
probably
than a common.
One of the most expensive cards in the deck, even though they're only a couple cents each.
That card is almost as broken as Frog the Jam, I have to say. Alright, so the next card we got. We have DNA Surgery. DNA Surgery's been around for a long time. It debuted in Pharaoh's Servant, which was the first couple packs issued and released. In Yu-Gi-Oh! It is right now hovering at common, for one of the most expensive commons in the game, at $10. I think this is justified at $10, especially with the new Cyber structure deck that came out. I think it's extremely good with super polymerization, and it can be also good in other decks too. I think it's well worth the price of $10.
I think it's a really good price for it. It hurts a lot of decks, so it is a really good side card, and it's not overly expensive for a common. And it's a really old card, so it's been around for a while. So I just think, yeah, it's a good price.
Like DNA Surgery right now, thinking about it, if you're really playing into the heavy meta game and you're playing a lot of Fire Fist, why wouldn't you play DNA Surgery to change all the Beast Warriors to fish? Or to something else that they cannot use. It just stops so much.
Large portions of their extract become useless.
Exactly. So it's still a good card. I think it's a great price. Maybe even a little bit more, but $10 is definitely a fair price. So the next card we have on our list is Dimensional Prison. D-Prison, they just released a common in the Cyber Revolution structure deck at about $4, and the Legendary Collection 2 version, the ultra rare version, is $10. I feel this is a fair price. This card is amazing right now. Just because, I would always pick Mirror Force over this. But the fact that you banish a card just means so much right now in the game, just because of how active graveyards are.
Banishing cards pretty active too.
Well, in some decks, but in a majority of the decks use the graveyards more than they use banish cards.
I would also play Mirror Force over D-Prison. So I think it's a fair price just because a lot of people are playing it, but it's maybe a little bit too much for a common.
But next card is HARPIE'S Pet Dragon. Now, with this card, I have had a Forbidden Memories copy of this card for about 10 years now. And I'm sentimental to this card. I'll never play it in a deck. I don't plan on making a Harpie deck anytime soon. But it holds a lot of sentimental value to me. And right now, it is going for about $50 for that. That is the first issue and release of that card. The first reprint of that card is going for more than the original. It's going for $65. I have a problem with this because I feel as though, as a collector, that the original print of a card should always be more, if not a huge gap, it should always be a little bit more than any reprint of a card. Do you agree?
I agree with that statement.
Okay. Because I just, these like Dark Revelations and Dark Beginnings, I know the packs weren't out for very long, and that's why the prices that they were, but they were still reprints. And the retro packs, the same thing. So they're still reprints, and the originals should always be more in anything,
Depending on any situation, like if a card is kind of hard to get a hold of, usually the reprints are more easily accessible for most people, so that would make sense in that case.
Right, and that kind of transitions into the next card, which is Blackluster Soldier. For the Invasion of Chaos Unlimited Edition, it is $12, and that is the first time it was ever released for Blackluster Soldier. The reprint for that is $28 out of Dark Revelation, so it's over double the price. Can somebody please explain this to me? It is a reprint. Now, the first edition one out of Invasion of Chaos is about $50, which that, to me, is a fair price. Blackluster Soldier is and will always be one of the most broken cards in the game. So easy to bring out. A 3,000 beat stick, level 8 light monster with the effect of either attacking it twice or banishing. Can you give me a monster? Yeah, can you give me a monster with a better effect? Overall effect.
Probably.
Besides Swap Frog.
Frog Jam.
Blackluster Soldier, I've had him. I've had the first edition of Invasion of Chaos one for many years too, so I'm kind of partial to that card too. But I feel as though it's a fair price. If not, it should go up even more, just because if it's good in any format.
Yeah, in those two circumstances with HARPIE'S Pet Dragon and Blackluster Soldier, it doesn't really make any sense for the card for a reprint to be worth more than the original, because the reprints are usually easier to get a hold of.
All right, and before we go here, I do have a question for any of our subscribers. Anyone who can give me any information. Can somebody please tell me the value of these cards? They are the Duelist League promos, Duelist League 13. They are the blue print, the green print, and the red print. I've looked everywhere online, and I have not been able to find a value for these cards. If you guys can please give me a value for this card in the comment section, that'd be greatly appreciated. But that's all we wanted to talk about today, so please leave your comments, your inputs. It's always nice to have. And please like, subscribe, and like I said, comment on anything you saw here. If you agree, let us know. If you disagree, let us know. And as always, thank you for tuning in to Yugi Noobs, and we'll check you next time. Later.
Peace.